This is the famous seaside city of Durban, a popular holiday destination for many South Africans for many decades. But its skyscraper hotels, endless beaches and marine parade will be far removed from the drivers' minds, as this is what they will be concentrating on: marbles. These little stones are the most important feature of the Total Tour Natal, as they cover the majority of the sugarcane lined gravel stages around the town of Scottsboro on the KZN south coast. They may be small in size, but each year they play a huge role in the outcome of the event.
You literally got a hard packed surface underneath with a very lightly luted surface on top, and that creates a very slippery environment. And the first 4 cars really just clean that top layer off, and the next guys get the benefit of digging right down into the hard pack. Nobody really wants to be first on the road.
In an effort to add to the excitement of the Total Tour Natal, as well as find a way to determine road positions, the organisers have decided to have a timed qualifying stage near the Suncoast Casino and Moses Mabhida Stadium Rally headquarters. The idea is simple. The 10 fastest drivers over the qualifying stage get to choose their starting and road position, while providing the spectators with an early taste of rally action.
It's a 1 kilometer stage to determine your starting position for the entire day, so the net effect might be measured in minutes, but right here we're fighting for split seconds.
A dreamy start for the new BP Ultimate Volkswagen Polos, with Enzo Kuhn and teammate Hafen Fecken setting the fastest times on the qualifying stage. The Basil Reed Ford of Charles Wilkin ties the Castrol Toyota of Leroy Poulter for 3rd. The long wait was finally over. It's been 4 months since a rally car turned a wheel in anger, but the 2012 South African Rally Championship is now underway, as the first of 32 cars take the starters' orders in front of a packed Suncoast Casino. Japie van Niekerk is the first to leave the total start ramp, followed by the Basil Reed Ford of Jan Habig. The SAC Peugeot of Hein Latergan is next, ahead of the Sasol Ford of Williams and the Castrol Toyota of Johnny Gemmell. This is stage 1 of the Total Tour Natal. Ellingham is a 25-kilometre test of driving skill just outside the south coast holiday town of Scottsboro. It's also the longest stage of the event, and although it's only stage 1, it could well influence the entire outcome of the Total Tour Natal.
First car on the road is what one can call an unwelcome return to rallying for Japie van Niekerk and new co-driver Gerard Snyman, especially on a stage as tricky as this one.
Very slippery. We had a moment or two. Power steering went, handbrake went. Difficult day in office. First hour.
Second on the road is not much better. It is also Jan Habig and Robert Paisley's first stage behind the left-hand drive wheel of the new Basil Reed Ford Fiesta. But the master reached the end. The SAC Peugeot of Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe was the third car to sweep the marbles on stage 1. John Williams and Cobus Frey are the first of the Sasol Ford Fiestas to get their season underway. Johnny Gemmell and Caroline Swan start their first season together behind the wheel of the Castrol Toyota Auris.
Yeah, it was a nice stage, long, 25k, but sleepy, eh? So it wasn't too bad. I think the guys behind us will be a little bit faster.
And this is the moment that Mark Cronje and Robin Houghton have been waiting for. The Cecil Ford crew lost the 2011 title under controversial circumstances, so he will have plans to set things right in 2012.
Left 1. Left 3 and left 9 no cut. Left 9 no cut. Yeah.
A narrow escape for Cronje, who is lucky to continue, but nearly 2 minutes were lost.
We spun and got stuck, so lost some time.
Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee in the second Castrol Toyota Auris get their 2012 season underway. And this is the second of the Basil Reed Ford Fiestas. Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich blast into the 25 kilometers of stage 1.
Possibly Max opens all the way 150. You'll see the left 7 in over dip. Left 7 in over dip.
And the moment of truth for the new BP Ultimate Volkswagen Polos of Hergen Vecken and Pierre Aries, followed by teammates Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson.
In the caution, hairpin right, stay in. Now hairpin right, stay in. Keep in. Keep in. 70. Stay left through the bad dip.
Officials, team members and media all anxiously await the arrival of Leroy Poulter at the end of stage 1. But something was seriously wrong. Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich were about 4 kilometers into stage 1 and driving hard. But up ahead, the rally was about to take a turn for the worse.
Left 4, it's tight, left 9, don't cut. Long caution. Stop. We gotta stop. I just want to pull away. Guys, get your extinguishers.
The stage is stopped.
After what felt like ages, the cars of Wilkin, Vecken and Keen finally merged from the sugarcane at a sedated pace. But the Castrol Toyota of Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee was missing.
At about 5 k's in, Leroy had just gone off into the sugar with the exhaust on the sugarcane.
And there was a big fire, and the Toyota looks totally destroyed.
The worst news possible for Castrol Toyota team principal Glenn Hall.
Crew were all right, but car's finished. Everything brand new. Disappointing.
It was a cruel end to Leroy Poulter's challenge, barely 4 kilometers after it started.
Alvin tried with a fire extinguisher to let it out, but we were unlucky, and when we jumped out the car rolled down the hill into the cane, and that was us game over, you know.
The 2012 South African Rally Championship is now well underway. Well, sort of anyway. The fire that consumed the Castrol Toyota Auris of Leroy Poulter forced the organisers to cancel stage 1. The rally would therefore only start in earnest on stage 2. It also meant that Mark Cronje's mistake on stage 1 was erased, as all the drivers will start stage 2 with a clean slate. And this is what they had to face. Stage 2 and 3, with no chance to service the cars in between. The consequence of not staying on the road was now a huge factor in the minds of all the drivers.
Once again, the new Africa Developments Polo of Japie van Niekerk and Gerard Snyman was the first car to tackle the slippery marbles. It's also the first time that van Niekerk drove a rally car since he had a big accident more than 8 months ago. So he did well to survive stages 2 and 3. To change to a new team after driving for Volkswagen for 20 years is tough. To change to the left-hand drive seat of the Basil Reed Ford Fiesta is even more of a challenge. But Jan Habig isn't a 6-time South African champion for nothing. Habig and Paisley were cautious though and safely completed stages 2 and 3, albeit a little off the pace. Business commitments will probably see Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe miss a few rounds of this year's championship. But the SAC Peugeot driver was as determined as ever to do well. The 7th fastest time on stage 2, followed by the 8th fastest time on stage 3, was a good start. John Williams and Cobus Frey start their second season behind the wheel of the Sasol Ford Fiesta. A time of 6 minutes and 40 seconds over stage 2 was less than a second slower than Latergan. But on stage 3, he managed to beat Latergan by just more than a second, leaving him half a second ahead of Latergan on the overall scoreboard.
Into long, left 6 opens. Repeat into long, left 6 opens.
As a clean racing line starts to form, the times start to come down as most of the marbles are swept away. Johnny Gemmell and Catalan Swan and the remaining Castrol Toyota Auris took full advantage of their road position to set the fastest times so far on both stages 2 and 3.
Yeah, we're going nicely. Things are working nice. A little bit slippy. We've got some used tyres now for this one, but it was okay.
The second Sasol Fiesta, driven by Mark Cronje and Robin Houghton, was the 6th car on the road. Normally, Cronje would have made use of his road position to attack the stages, but he was probably still thankful for receiving a second chance and took it rather cautiously to only set the 4th and 9th fastest times respectively.
Right 5 into K, left 7 narrow, left 7 narrow. Into right 9 in, right 9 in.
Yeah, we just need to settle down. That's what we need to do, and just focus on what we need to do. That's all. We'll be fine.
With the Toyota of Poulter removed from the equation, Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich was now the 7th crew to traverse the stages. The Basil Reed Ford Fiesta blitzed through the 8 kilometers of stage 2 in a time of just 6 minutes and 29.4 seconds to take the early rally lead. Wilkin set another quick time of 5 minutes and 47.8 seconds on stage 3, but he had to wait for the Volkswagens of Keen and Fecken to see if it was fast enough to retain his lead. Seeing that stage 1 was cancelled and that the rest of the field drove through it at a snail's pace, stages 2 and 3 presented the first real opportunity for the brand new BP Volkswagen Polos to show their mettle. Ergen Fecken and Pierre Arries did not disappoint and gave rally fans a first glimpse of the car's potential by setting the 3rd and 7th fastest stage times on these 2 stages.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. Left 6.
From 10th on the road, Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson knew exactly what they had to do, and that was to go as fast as possible to try and chase Wilkin down. The benchmark time on stage 2 was set at 6 minutes and 29.4 seconds, but the BP Polo crossed the flying finish in a time of 6 minutes and 29.9 seconds, just half a second slower. On stage 3, Keen really let rip and went 3 seconds faster than Wilkin to move to the top of the overall standing. Next car on the road, the Monster Energy Ford Fiesta of Sebastian Klaassen and Cindy Hardy. It's Klaassen's first ever outing in an S2000 car, so the Cape Town-based Dutchman took it easy while finding his feet at the sharp end of rallying. There must have been a fair amount of pressure on the shoulders of Jean-Pierre Damso and new co-driver Grant Martin. This is, after all, the Total Rally, and Damso is behind the wheel of the Total Toyota Auris. But the son of rally legend Serge coped well with the pressure by setting impressive stage times to complete these 2 stages in an excellent 3rd position on the overall leaderboard. Mohamed Musa and Andre Vermeulen in the 2nd Total Toyota Auris had a less than perfect start, with a fair share of problems slowing the Auris down and relegating them down to 15th place.
Got the puncher in the first corner of the stage, and I drove the whole bloody stage like that. You know, the rally's over before it even started. This is not the way I wanted to start it.
This is the first taste of South African soil for Dutch driver Hans Weiss Jr. and Belgian co-driver Bjorn de Gan in the 3rd of the BP Polos. Weiss is regarded as a superb talent, but it will take time for the youngster to come to grips with the fast pace of rallying here in South Africa. It didn't take that long, however, as he set the 2nd fastest time of all on stage 3.
to take a breather after the first 2 stages of the Total Tour Natal. It's a fantastic start for the new Volkswagen Polo with Enzo Kuhn, who leads the Ford of Charles Wilkin by less than 3 seconds. JP Damso does well in third, but he has Boaz Gimmel and Fecken breathing down his neck.
Stage 4 was a shocker for Mark Ronier and Robin Houghton, who lost more than half a minute to the leaders.
Yeah, it's one of those days. Nothing wants to come off.
Stage 5, however, was a different story, as the Sassel Ford Fiesta took its first stage win of 2012 to complete the day's gravel racing in 9th position overall.
60. Caution error,
Jan Habig and Robert Paisley were still getting used to the left-hand drive Basil Reed Fiesta as their times slowly improved. Habig was much closer to the pace on these 2 stages and moved up into 8th position overall. In Europe, the drivers get the chance to create their own set of pace notes. In South Africa, they get given a set of notes which makes things very different from what Hans Weiss is used to. 7th on the leaderboard was therefore a more than decent start for the BP Polo driver. They say that the South African Rally Championship is one of the most competitive series anywhere in the world, if not the most competitive, with a string of around 8 drivers that can fight for victory. John Williams hasn't tasted a victory yet, but he's certainly capable of winning and finished the day's gravel racing in 6th position.
To right 3, to left 1.
JP Damso has tasted victory once before, but that was late in 2008, and good results have been scarce since. The team total driver was consistently fast to occupy 5th on the leaderboard. At the sharp end of the fight, Johnny Gemmel and Callan Swan had it all to do in the remaining Castrol Toyota Auris. Gemmel is undoubtedly one of the favourites to win this year's championship, and the East Rand businessman slowly crawled his way into 4th position overall, thanks to a fine stage win on stage 4. There were less than 3 seconds separating Charles Wilkin and Enzo Kuhn before the start of these 2 stages, so it was clear that both the Basil Reed Fiesta and the new BP Polo had the pace to fight for victory. But their minds were already set on strategies for day 2. The leader of day 1 will have to sweep the road on day 2, a role that Wilkin and Godrich clearly did not want to play, as they deliberately slowed down near the end of stage 5. Rally leaders Keane and Hodgson clearly had the same idea. Wilkin's time of 5 minutes and 57 seconds was a full 10 seconds slower than earlier in the day, showing just how much he was willing to sacrifice in order not to sweep the roads on the following day. But Keane went nearly 20 seconds slower than before to ensure that he does fall behind Wilkin in the overall standings. A perfect example of rally tactics and strategies at work.
A bit of strategy in our planning here, so we didn't want to run first tomorrow, but seems it all worked out well for us.
While all of this was happening, Hergen Fecken and Pierre Arries were obviously enjoying the speed and competitiveness of the new BP Volkswagen Polo. Fecken was driving well, and with Wilkin and Keane deciding to lose time on purpose, Fecken shot straight into the rally lead.
Behind the factory and other top S2000 teams and cars, a number of drivers were contesting the new for 2012 S2000 Challenge class. The cars competing in this challenge are the same ones used by factory teams in previous years. Henk Latergan is the son of Hein Latergan. The Pretoria youngster is one of the most talented drivers ever to grip a steering wheel. But his S2000 debut ended prematurely when he rolled the Q8 Oils Volkswagen Polo early in stage 2. Nicholas Ryan and Jeff Tyra is the most experienced pairing in the challenge class. The Grand Mark VW Polo set the fastest time on stage 2, but they soon got reeled in by the Toyota of Namibian driver Wilro Dippenaar. Over the next few stages, Dippenaar slowly edged away from Ryan to finish the day's gravel stages with a 13-second lead over Ryan. Guga Zulu and Carl Peskin also made their S2000 debut behind the wheel of a BP Volkswagen Polo Vivo. But Zulu had a few problems early on, resulting in a minute penalty that relegated him down to third in the S2000 challenge. Apart from S2000 and the S2000 Challenge, the third class for rally cars with engines up to 1600cc in size will make up the 2012 South African Rally Championship. These cars only have front-wheel drive, but they also have a number of very talented young and up-and-coming drivers behind their wheels, as well as a few older, more experienced ones. The Total Tour Natal started off well for former circuit racing driver Clint Weston and his brand new Reef Tanker Citroen C2. Weston and co-driver Herman Groenewald set the fastest time on the qualifying stage, but their rally ended prematurely when they rolled the Citroen on stage 3. Stefanie Buerta and Angela Shields also had high hopes of performing well on their sponsors' event. But the two ladies also fell victim to the slippery sugarcane roads when they rolled their Team Total Toyota late on day 1. Jacques Coloradi and co-driver Kez Naidu returned for another season behind the wheel of the Galvadiv Toyota and started well by completing day 1 third in the S1600 class. Craig Trott is the veteran of this class, and as always, the old hand was once again in contention. Together with co-driver Robbie Coetzee, the Team Total driver completes the day just 4 seconds from the class lead. And the class lead in question belongs to the youth and talent of former circuit racer Guy Bottrell and co-driver Simon Vasey-Lyle. The Yato Tools Toyota crew drove well to overhaul Trott on the last stage of the day to take the provisional class S1600 lead. So, after 5 of the rally's 16 stages, Herman Fecken takes a slender lead of 4.4 seconds over early pace-setter Wilken. Kuhn deliberately drops to third overall, closely followed by Gemmel and Damso. After an eventful day's rallying in which he lost his teammate, Johnny Gemmel finds himself in 4th position with just 7 seconds from the lead.
Yeah, it's a good place, just not at the head of the field, down a little bit. It's probably the same position as I started today, 4th, 5th. But that's okay, good.
Over at the BP Volkswagen camp, Enzo Kuhn had time to reflect on the dreaded concept of road sweeping and the tactics he employed to ensure that he doesn't have to sweep on day 2.
So what we do is we race all day, competitively, come to the end of the day, calculate the total, and then I actually stopped, gave away time not to be first tomorrow.
The Basil Reed Ford Fiesta of Charles Wilken will have to be the second car on the road, and although it means he is currently laying second overall, it's a position Wilken didn't want.
We'll just have to make the best of it tomorrow, but the car's going well, so yeah, it's going to be a tough day tomorrow.
First overall for the brand new BP Polo is a great start for Volkswagen. But it also means that Herman Fecken will be the broom for day 2.
Yeah, look, I wasn't really planning on being first. We were lying 3rd and 4th, so I didn't realize everybody would go a little bit slower just to not be in the lead tomorrow, but they've given me quite a few seconds, so we'll see if we can defend it tomorrow.
While the teams and rally cars were still enjoying some well-earned rest and attention in Scotland, a large crowd started to gather near the famous Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban for the final spectacle of day 1 of the Total Tour Natal. There was an ominous feeling in the air above the service park when the skies turned dark and rain clouds gathered. A storm was brewing. As the first drops of rain started to fall, the winds of change swept into the Volkswagen service area and brought with it a stroke of bad luck. Clearly, rally leader Herman Fecken had a problem.
Just doesn't want to start. It looks like it's a faulty button.
After a frantic 8 minutes, the Polo fired up and was on its way to Durban for the final spectator stage. But 8 minutes of lateness resulted in a 1 minute and 20-second penalty, and Fecken tumbled down the leaderboard. The spectacular spectacular Moses Mabhida Stadium provided the perfect backdrop for the final showdown of day one. Thousands of spectators gathered to witness the spectacle that allows fans to get up close and personal to the action.
The road positions for day two were already determined, so the drivers had to find the fine line between not taking too many risks and not losing time in the process. Mark Ronier and Robin Houghton took the stage victory by exactly a second over the BP polo of Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gan. The Dutchman seemed to have found his feet, but he was only 0.4 seconds faster than the Castrol Toyota of Johnny Gemmell and Catalin Swan. Times on a stage like this are very close and very rarely impacts on the overall standings. But in a rally this close, impact on their standings is exactly what it did.
So the name Feckin tumbles down the leaderboard from 1st to 9th, while the name Charles Wilkin once again appears at the top. But now with Johnny Gemmell breathing down his neck, just 1/10 of a second. Day 2 of the Total Tour Natal Rally. The day that will most probably set the tone for the rest of the season. But we only have 1/10 of a second between the two names at the top of the leaderboard.